estate planning in general, it's a love letter to your family. If something were to happen to you, you want someone to be able to make decisions on your behalf. It's primarily medical decisions, right? That's where the living will and the medical healthcare directive and all that stuff comes in play. Why is that important? Most times when you go to a medical facility, if you don't have these documents in place, decisions are delayed, which can be life-threatening, right? Because they don't want to have lawsuits against them. So they want to make sure that they're doing what should be done legally. So that's why those documents are important.
You're like a breath of fresh air, softly blowing spring through your hair. Sunlight in the sky on your face, bringing joy and love to this place. You bring joy and love to this place in my heart. You bring joy and love to this place in my heart. You bring joy and love to this place in my heart. You bring joy and love to this place in my heart. La 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 la. Hello and welcome. I am Carol V. Brown Jones, and welcome to Gigi United by Love. Gigi stands for grandmothers and their girls, and that girl means their daughters, their daughter-in-laws, granddaughters. We're going to throw in the grandsons as well, and cousins, sisters, nieces, and your good friends too. This is for you. That means all women are welcome here. I focus on the grandmothers because grandmothers are special, right? Most of you agree with me. On this podcast, I will share wisdom from wise women, family groups coming together and getting to know each other better, closing the generation gap. Women and some men with some good business tips for us and things that we need to know about. Thank you for being here, and I hope that you will share this program with your friends and subscribe to the YouTube channel and to this podcast. Let me introduce you to my guest today, Jennifer Lee Marcus. Jennifer is a powerhouse mompreneur, wife, and regional manager for Legal Shield. She's empowering individuals, families, and entrepreneurs across the United States and Canada to protect what matters most. Jennifer believes freedom begins in the mind and extends into our finances, our family, and our future. I agree with that. Through Legal Shield and ID Shield, she provides affordable access to legal and identity protection services, including wills and trust, estate planning, and life event support, helping families plan ahead with peace of mind. As a leader and a mentor, Jennifer is also helping women create additional income from home without disturbing what they already do. Through a proven system and supportive community, she partners with small businesses to offer volunteer employment benefits at no cost to the employers, empowering companies to protect their people while enhancing workplace culture. She's a proud member of the Women Leadership Academy and one of Legal Shield's top 20 recruited women in business. Jennifer is helping rewrite the narrative for modern women. You can build income, impact, and independence on your own team. I know Jennifer has a lot to share with us. And in this podcast, you're going to hear her and find out more. But then I want to invite you to look out for a date that we will release later in January, where Jennifer will come on a Tuesday talk, a live opportunity for you to ask questions and find out more about how you might connect with Jennifer. I like to remind you of my Tuesday Talk. So, Tuesday Talk is an opportunity for you to get a chance to have a conversation with me and the guests. Tuesday Talk covers topics that I have shared in my books. To get on board the new Underground Railroad, Harriet Tubman's Spirit is Guiding Us to Love and Actions, is the topic that I like to explore the most because as you're seeing, my guests are examples of people who are helping other people. And that's what the new Underground Railroad is. This is a movement, not just a book. That's why I need you to come. Let's talk about it. Let's learn from each other and let's build more unity in our homes and in our communities and our country. Tuesday Talks, 6 p.m. Pacific time on Zoom. You do need to register, and you will see an opportunity to register for Tuesday Talk when at the end of the discussion on this podcast. So please help me welcome Jennifer Lee Marcus. Hello, Jennifer.
Hello, Carol Brown Jones. Thank you for having me on.
I'm glad to
We're
have you.
excited to be a guest on your podcast.
Yeah, we just met recently and you were sharing your story, and I said, yeah, we need to have you share on my podcast. So let's tell people who you are, where you grew up, and where you are now.
Okay, absolutely. So my name is Jennifer Lee Marcus. I currently reside in the state of Florida in the Fort Lauderdale, Miami area. I am originally from Jamaica, so been in the US, what is it, since 1999. I don't know how many years that is, 20 something years, 26 almost. And yeah, so I came here, I transferred as a junior from college. My mom moved here when I was around 16. So I came after college, so right before my 21st birthday. And yes, I've been here ever since. My background, professional background is commercial and corporate real estate. That's where, after I got my degree, I started out there in the working when I started working. And since then, I have since transitioned into being an entrepreneur where I help individuals, families, and small businesses to have access to their legal rights and protecting their identities without them having to pay high hourly rates. So that's kind of what I do in a nutshell.
Well, that's beautiful because that's something we definitely all need. We don't realize how important it is to have some documents and security help and with legal stuff. Legal stuff is foreign to everyday people, right? I know you're seeing
Yes,
that.
yes.
And we just, all this fine print on everything, we just let it slide, not knowing what we're setting ourselves up for. But that's everybody's case right now with download the app. It's got all this little fine print. You don't realize what we're giving away. But what are some of the most common things that people come to you for that you like to help people with at your legal aid?
Yeah, so the name of the company that I partnered with is Legal Shield. It's a 53-year-old company. And I was first introduced when I worked in the corporate world, as I said, in commercial real estate, as an employee benefit. And what I found was being in that industry that many people, in employees, individuals, friends of mine, business owners, they would oftentimes they have a legal situation and they are asking a friend or Googling. I know in today's world we do the chat GPTs and the AIs and all that stuff, but that's what people were doing back then because it wasn't custom for them to think about contacting an attorney before checking their rights. They would ask a friend. Sometimes the friend may or may not be an attorney and they may or may not practice in the area of law that they would have needed help in. And unfortunately, sometimes garbage in, garbage out. So the wrong advice gives you wrong solutions, and then you do something that you shouldn't be doing because you just didn't have access. When I found this company or was introduced to this company and saw an opportunity where I could educate people that, listen, there is another way. I thought everybody had this service, as I said, because I was introduced as an employee benefit, not realizing that Legal Shield is the only company that, even if you're not with a large company, to have access as a voluntary benefit, you can actually get services for yourselves individually or for your small business. So now, though, our members, we don't have to worry about asking a friend anymore, right? You can actually
Mhm.
speak to an attorney who specializes in the area of law that you need help with to just say, what are my rights? Can they do this? Is this correct? So advice is one of the main things, right? And then sometimes you need a letter or phone call written on your behalf so people can treat you the way you should be treated. Because unfortunately, the people who make the most sometimes are treated the worst. That's because they think you won't do anything about it, right? So we have
Mm.
advice, we do letters and phone calls. They also do review documents, right? Sometimes you're signing these things, like you mentioned, Carol, that we pretend to be reading everything and we don't, because let's just face it, we can read the bold stuff, but the fine print is what takes away, and that's the stuff that we don't know. So having access to have someone review those documents for you, whether it's something as simple as a standard contract or an employment agreement, or even if you're changing employment and you need to review your severance package, stuff like that, or just buying a home, selling a home, just simple life events documents that we should not be signing without having it reviewed, we can help our members with. So yeah,
That's so important because we sign it all the time. And like you mentioned, with the home, and that's a lot of paperwork. And just to have somebody can read over it for you, that should help it all a lot. What about, so I didn't realize Legal Shield could work with businesses as well.
we
So what are
do.
some of the services for businesses?
Yeah, so the same thing. So I usually like to say to my companies, I said, listen, as a business owner, I know you have attorneys, right? Would you use them more if you didn't have to pay those retainers and you didn't have to pay high hourly fees? Because as I said, coming from the commercial real estate background, I saw that even with us being with a large company, there was a retainer that we had to pay. And then every time we picked up the phone to just get advice on any legal matter, then we have a monthly bill that we have to pay. So small businesses, they don't have big business budget, right? Most times they're less than 5 years in business or just starting out. They just don't have those resources. So what we found is that they're spending a lot of time away from what their core business should be, trying to be their own attorneys. It's like someone trying to be their own doctor, right? So we're like, if you had the ability to use attorneys more, through collective buying power, because that's what we do as Legal Shield. We do collectively what the wealthy does independently. Would you use these services more? And they always say yes. So again, advice. Can they do this? What licenses do I need for this, for where I'm going to set up? What municipalities can I work in? Should I be hiring contractors or classifying my staff as W-2s? Day-to-day matters that will affect a business's bottom line. We can help them to protect, and we can also help them to grow through consultants. So it's just multiple things. But again, documents. A lot of business owners, they'll have documents that they need to sign or even create to limit their liability. So we can help them with document creation. We can all or contract creation, I should say, and we can also help them with contract and document review for small businesses. They may want to trademark or copyright their work. We can help them with the legal work as it relates to, services like this, right? If you spend so much time creating your business and your ideas, you should protect it, right? Somebody shouldn't come and be able to take your idea because you didn't have the legal resources to protect it ahead of time, right? But I work a lot with creatives, authors and stuff who they want to copyright their work, and it costs a lot of money. So as I said, if they know that there are resources that they don't have to worry about those high hourly fees or retainers, we find that they're using them more because they know that a service like ours exists. So yeah.
That's beautiful. So let's take me as your client, and
Yes.
I have a logo right here, GG
Yes.
United by Love. And
Beautiful.
okay, I have books. I know how to get a copy, my book's copywritten. But as far as logos and things like that, trademark, I know that can be very expensive. First, before you go there, you're in Florida.
Yes.
Can you work with people all over the country?
Absolutely. Yes. So we have different plans. So depending on the plan that you have, we have two plans that allows the member to have access to services that are interstate, we call it. Absolutely. And then we do have a plan that if that person say, you know what, I'm not doing business interstate, I don't need those extra services, then we have a plan for that. So we have a portfolio of services that can fit pretty much any budget and any need. Yeah.
And so you work with attorneys in different specialty areas.
Yes. So how it works, each of our members are assigned to, and I'll give you this analogy. You know how with your medical insurance, you have your primary care doctor, right? You always
Yes.
start there, you get referred out for services when it comes on to being specialists. So as a Legal Shield member, whether you are a family plan member or a business plan member, you're going to be assigned to a primary care law firm. We call them providers or service provider law firms. What that helps to do is eliminate who do I call, right? These law firms are full service, meaning that they specialize in different areas of law. And so you'll always start there. Everything starts with consultation, and consultation is always included free, no additional charge. So once you open a consult or request a consult for access to your law firm, then from there, the attorney would decide how to proceed. Yeah, so they start there. And then from there, if let's say, for instance, there was a situation where the law firm does not specialize in that area of law, because you're a Legal Shield member and because of the service agreement that we have with these law firms, you would still be able to get access. So what the law firm would then do is refer you out to our non primary care law firm, just keeping with that analogy. So we have the largest network of law firms because even though we have each state and each member is assigned to a particular law firm to start with, if it is that their needs falls outside of what that law firm does, which they usually have attorneys in all areas, then we have them go up to our referral law firm, which we have over 7,000 attorneys across the state. So let's say you're in California and someone is in Florida, then you would still call your law firm in California. And then from there, then if it's a situation in Florida, then they would refer you to the law firm in Florida.
Okay, that answers one of my questions because I'm from Ohio and I have some probate issues that need to work on in Ohio, but I'm
Mhm.
in Washington State.
Yeah.
So I understand, I've talked to an attorney just to get a little advice that you have to have someone in the state of Ohio to
Mhm.
really process through that. That's good to know that I could have a primary attorney that works with me and connect me with someone else.
Yeah, so you would start with your law firm in your state of residence, and then if they need to refer you out to another state, then they would do that. Now, I must mention, usually we give you advice even on pre-existing matters. So this would be considered a pre-existing matter, right?
Yes.
Probate, their pre-existing probate case. Even though it's pre-existing, you're still going to get your consult included for free in the state of Ohio, right? And then if it is that they need to do additional work for you, you're going to be entitled to up to a 25% member discounted rate, which is still because you're going to use an attorney anyway, you're going to pay. And I usually say to my members, do you would you be okay with getting a discounted rate or do you prefer to pay full price? You're going to use an attorney anyway. Now, I must let you know that these law firms are top rated AV ranked attorneys. So it's not like you're going to get somebody from who is inexperienced, who just at the bar for them to be in our network. A lot of our law firms have been in our network for over 20 plus years. The company's been around for 53. So that tells you the quality of the law firms that you're getting, right? But yeah.
That's good. That gives a lot of confidence and trust. Trust. And I'm sure trust is a big thing
Trust is a
for,
big part, especially we're coming out of the pandemic over the last few years. So we do have the ability for our members to get a trust done at a flat rate. And I'm telling you, I've had members who they're like, I meet them and they're just about to go do a trust with someone else. And when they see the difference in pricing, and because they're members with Legal Shield, they're like, there is a wait period to get that discounted rate. If you don't want to wait, you could still pay, get it done at a 25% discounted rate. But most of the members, they say, you know what? At least I can start with my initial estate planning documents, the power of attorney, the living will, all that stuff that's available immediately. No wait period there for the trust, as you can imagine. And you're looking at thousands of dollars just to set the trust up. Not that does not include funding. So as a Legal Shield member, they can get their trust done if they're members with us for at least 180 days for a flat fee of $250. So it's like a no-brainer for them. And they understand that to fund the trust is a separate process, and they're still going to be entitled to a discounted rate to get that done. Either way, it's going to be a huge savings compared to if they did it the traditional way of getting a trust set up and also funded. So they love it.
great. Give us some advice for younger women, parents,
Yeah.
families. What kind of things do they need to have set up?
I think I mentioned when I just moved to this country was when I was introduced to Legal Shield. So a lot of times as younger women or women in general, we're thinking, I don't need a trust. I don't have any assets. I don't, the things that people say. They can't afford it. They don't have any
Right.
kids, etc. But when I understood that though, estate planning in general, it's a love letter to your family. If something were to happen to you, you want someone to be able to make decisions on your behalf. It's primarily medical decisions, right? That's where the living will and the medical healthcare directive and all that stuff comes in play. Why is that important? Most times when you go to a medical facility, if you don't have these documents in place, decisions are delayed, which can be life-threatening, right? Because they don't want to have lawsuits against them. So they want to make sure that they're doing what should be done legally. So that's why those documents are important, right? Then the power of attorney, same thing. Let's say you are not able to make decisions on your behalf. You don't have to pass away to be able to use these directives, right? Sometimes you just need it. I had met a lady years ago and she called me because she knows what I do. And she has a friend who became medically incapacitated, just had a stroke at work, 48 years old, has two boys, but one was 18 and 21, not old enough to be making all these decisions that were coming at them. So this is why these things are important.
Right.
And it's important to have them updated because sometimes things change, people may have passed away, etc. So it's just a matter of just making sure that people can help you to make decisions in the event that you're not able to make them for yourselves. And believe it or not, once you're 18 years or older, everybody needs one. A lot of parents, they think that, oh, why would my kid need one? Per most states, once your kid is over 18, they're considered an adult. So they're legally responsible for making their own decisions. You are no longer in charge. So this is why these documents are important, and I recommend parents understand. I usually say to parents with college-age kids, 18 or older, hey, make sure they get their power of attorney in place, and that way you can have access to help them medically or even with their educationally. You can help them to make decisions. And then as women get older, I know we don't like to think about it. We know we don't like to talk about D-Day, but nobody knows when D-Day is. So it's better to plan ahead and have it done. And that way your family isn't left with mysteries. We want to leave legacies and not mysteries, is what we say. So put it in place. And then God forbid if it happens sooner than when you're thinking it's going to happen. Nobody knows when D-Day is, but at least something is in place for your family. So there are no mysteries. There's no fighting, right? We say to put it in writing, it stops the fighting and it just makes things easier for your family members and they can mourn or whatever they need to do in peace rather than having that additional stress added to the fact if something is going to be going on with you. So
That's
that's what I would
that's
say. It's
yeah, that's
education,
good.
right? Yeah.
Education. I was gonna say, do you go out in the community and educate groups?
Absolutely. So I'm a member of my chamber in my community, and we have several 55 and older communities. So they always invite me to come in and educate as to how the services work. But when I go, I say, listen, if we don't do anything else, just having access for advice and having these estate planning documents in place done, if that was all we did, it would be worth it. So I really stress on how to how easy it is to use our services to get those documents in place. We have an app that helps to guide the member. So they're not usually thinking about what should happen. Let's say they have email addresses like digital assets and cryptocurrencies and all the stuff that is new that we weren't thinking about years ago. Even those things need to be put in a trust or in a will or whatever, so somebody knows how to handle that. So I'm educating them as to, yes, there's homes or not. You may or may not have homes, but you want to put the directives in place. That's the most important part, the directives first and foremost. And then the next thing is you want to don't list your bank account, list that there is Chase, right? You don't want to put what is there. And of course, you need to make sure whoever you have assigned as your executor, that they meet the criteria, right? Because that's why you want to make sure you have updates. Things could change, right? So even though you do something this year, if something changes, do annual updates if necessary, or update it as often as you need to in the future because things change as we get older, right? Things are always changing. So we're educating them on that because a lot of times they say, oh, I have a will. So, okay, awesome. When was the last time you updated it? And they haven't. And I'm saying, who's the executor? That person may have passed away or they became incapacitated. They can't help anymore. If they have minor children, the person needs to be in the state of where the child is. People don't know that, right? God forbid if it's a really small family, that kid is going to be placed into the system until the guardian appears. So these are those things that people typically aren't thinking of. Or in some instances, they assign someone, and let's say that person, when they assigned the person was in able to carry out those role, and then now there's something going on, whether their liberties are taken away and they're no longer able to fill that guardianship role. The state is going to take that child. And so we're trying to avoid all that. So that's why we're educating them of different scenarios because these things happen. And yeah.
That's right. They happen, and you're in a situation and you know what to do. You don't know what to do, who to go to, and you're in crisis mode, and that is not what we want. So preparation and being prepared and thinking about the future is so important.
Going back to the book, and I'm thinking about how can we serve people? And I think one of the big things about service is education,
Yes.
guys, people being aware that these things exist. I tell people, I said, I'm paid to share information about our services with the company, with Legal Shield, the company I work with. But to be honest, I always known that I want to impact people. And how can I do that? Because I've come across so many people that they really need access and they just can't afford it. And I feel bad. And even they're not even going to get help from legal aid through the state because they're making too much. And then if they understood that for less than $1 a day, in some cases, they could have access to make better decisions. They don't have to be stressed out. Because a lot of times when people have a lot of medical issues, it's because of stress and because they don't know, they don't know what decisions to make because of they don't have the right advice. They could go to Google, but it may not be accurate because just like when
Mhm.
you diagnose yourself, try to self-diagnose, you're gonna think the worst until you really speak to a doctor. It's the same thing with a law. So I usually tell people if you had access, how would that make you feel to know that you're getting custom advice for your particular situation and not something that you may have found online? So, yeah.
Great. Tell us, how do you get to become a Legal Shield representative? Are you an attorney? Do you have to go
So
to
I
law
am not
school?
an attorney. That's one of the things that attracted me to the company because, as I said, when I was growing up, believe it or not, I wanted to be an attorney. And but I realized I like to read, but I don't really like to read all those historical things. I like more self-help, personal development, professional development, but not necessarily historical facts like on and on, right? So I thought I wanted to be an attorney. And then as I got to college, I realized that I'm more of a marketer. Like I like to meet different people and help people. I was always the one to say, listen, if I know something that's going to help you, I'm going to share it with you, whether I'm getting paid or not. So when I first saw this company, I'm like, everybody should have this. I really didn't know because I was new to the country, right? And my best friend, she's in Jamaica and she's an attorney. I'm like, listen, I saw this concept at my job and I said, you should do this because I'm thinking this is a great concept. You should institute this in Jamaica as well. So no, you don't have to be an attorney. The great thing about it is that we're just merely taking people from not knowing that these services exist. So your goal is to share information. And then once the member, whether a personal member or a business plan member decides that, hey, I want to protect myself, I want to protect my business, then the attorneys take over and do the work. So I like that I still get a chance to help. I did not study law, but I still am able to put people in touch with the legal system so they're treated fairly because if you don't know your rights, you don't have any. I can tell you stories upon stories how I've used Legal Shield. And when I try to do it on my own, the response that I got, and then once they got a letter from my law firm that is included in our membership, I'm treated a little bit differently, right? My name
Hmm.
always has a miss before it when they're speaking to me as opposed to when they didn't hear from my attorney. So it's just a different response that you get, and it's what it is. If they think you don't have any rights, you don't have any. And unfortunately, the people who make the least are mistreated the most. So we're definitely trying to change that notion so people have access to what their rights are without them have to break the bank.
Great. So I'm thinking, I always like to share ways for women, especially, to
Mhm.
find income, something that they can do that they didn't realize they can do, or they could do it full time, they could do it part time. Doesn't take a lot of investment. Is this a possibility for this company?
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes. When I first saw this, I did not know I was looking. And the one of the reasons because I made good income, but I realized I wasn't thinking bigger. My vision wasn't big enough. And when I realized, I said, okay, I'm okay, but what if I wanted to help my church or help an orphanage or something? How do I really have the disposable income to do that? And the truth is I didn't. Because when you're thinking just about yourself, then you can be okay. You can pay your bills and you can go on the vacations and all that good stuff. But if you're really thinking, I want to leave a legacy, I want to help other people, it requires money. So when I saw this as a vehicle, and I'm like, okay, I could just spend a few hours because I had no training, as I said, to market these services. I love that there was a built-in system that I could follow and work with my mentors. You are assigned mentors, which I like. In corporate, they train you for one day and or a week or maybe a month and say, okay, you're on your own with this company. You're assigned a mentor, you have a system, you have a whole team of people who, if you are willing to be trained and be coachable, they show you A to Z, no matter how long it takes, and it's impossible to not do well. So the only way you're not going to do well is if you try to do it on your own. You can do well, but you can go further and faster if you do it with a team. So I like the whole system that I didn't have to learn. I did have to learn. You didn't have to get a new degree, a new license to do this, and I could do it nationwide. A lot of opportunities when I looked at before is it's localized, right? I mean, of course, now with the internet, you can do a lot more, but I didn't want to just do anything. I wanted to do things that would make a difference, like I said. So this I thought made sense because I told you, we talk about dreams and going back to your book. And when I look back and you used to do those little boxes about how old you're going to be when you have kids and what you want to be when you grow up and all that good stuff. And
Right.
if you really think back to what you wanted to be when you were a kid, and it was an attorney, but as I said, I told you why I didn't go that route because I like to be out and meeting different people and not be tied to billing people. I want to help people. So it made sense for me. And the startup was very nominal, under $100 to get started with a company and lifelong learning. I'm like, okay, this is what I can do. I definitely this you could do this forever and not affect what you're currently doing. So I started on a very spare time basis. And sometimes you're just knowing you're called to do something. And I can genuinely say that I know I was called to do this because I love to help people. And I know I wanted to impact a lot of people and give back. So even though I don't have to share an opportunity with other women, but I choose to because I say, listen, you can't say you never knew. You can't say you weren't told. And if you, I mean, there's lots of opportunities out there, but would you really be in that opportunity if there wasn't money attached? Do you genuinely want to help people? So that's what attracted me to this company. And then, of course, a low startup cost and just having access to my own legal rights. Because I said I've used this service so many times, I'm like, I would never be without it because I know the difference of how you feel when you have access to your rights. So it's a win-win situation. So definitely, I would love to share. I know you're gonna put my information out there. So if there any woman or man in your audience listen to this information and they want to get information as to how, what it takes, I will definitely share that with them. And if it's for them, great. We'd love to have them. But if not, at least they know and they can share it with somebody else.
Yes, yes, that's great. So they could come up under you, is it like that?
So we have different divisions. So we are allowed to build a team. Yes, I would be their mentor number one, but we have a bigger team than me. And that's what I love. So even if let's say I'm one person, so I can't be everywhere at any time, right? I have team in I live in Florida, so I have team in New York, Connecticut, Georgia. I'm just naming a few states that I know of, Virginia. And some of these states I haven't been to in a while because again, of the system that is already built in, you don't have to be in that particular state because you're not the one doing the actual service. You're just merely introducing the user to this system exists. It's been around for 53 years, largest network of law firms. You'll have access to your legal rights. And from there, you can decide, make better decisions. So that's really what we're sharing with them. And then once they speak to the attorneys, then the attorneys take it from there. So you can pretty much do it from anywhere. You could be on the West Coast and have business on the East Coast. You can be on the East Coast, have business on the West Coast. You can even have business as far as Canada, even though you're here in the US. So it's an international business.
I love that. And I thank you for sharing and being such a great representative for the company. I want to remind you of the newsletter. The newsletter is available to give you more information, tell you who our podcast guests will be for the month. I get tips for hair care. We have information on children's books that you could find out from how to purchase them from the authors. More information that you would love to know about, offers and opportunities for us to connect. So do check out the newsletter and do subscribe. That way, you'll always be reminded of a new episode. And you will be able to join us on the Tuesday Talks, as Tuesday Talks are a premium offering for paid members of this program, the GG United by Love on Substack. So become a member. You can join without paying and be able to get all the newsletters and some information about what the podcasts are offering. So join us and stay connected. Yeah, and I love that you talked about legacy because the book is Harriet Tubman Love, Teaching Love, Leadership, and Legacy.
Yes.
And that is part of what we're all about, teaching
Yes.
other people so they can learn things that can help their lives be better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The skills that we learn here, to be honest, Carol, as I said, remember I told you I wasn't dreaming big enough. Once I started thinking bigger and having a bigger vision, I'm like, okay, this is bigger than me. We do a lot of personal development with the mindset, and I think that's important. And a lot of times, whether it's this opportunity or not, a lot of times people don't excel at what they're doing because of how they're thinking about themselves. So they really work on helping you. So we have like monthly book clubs and stuff that we're reading together. And you can tell when you speak to someone if how they're developed. Because there's professional development and then there's personal development. And also how they respond to situations. So the thing is that when you learn whatever you learn with us, it can be applied to any area of your life. So I love that. And I love it because it's affecting us as women, but then you can also affect your children. So like my son is about to be 13, and it's a difference, right? We're like this month we're reading the book Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. And in the mornings when I'm taking him to school, that's what he's listening to, right? You can communicate, but how are you going to connect with someone? He read Rich Dad, Poor Dad for teens. He wasn't a teen then, but because again, and it's just a difference when you can pass wealth down to the next generation legacy, right? But legacy also is in education.
it
And
is.
yeah, and how we are going to teach our children or our grandchildren or parents before didn't have that. So if we can teach them also not only leave financial wealth for them, but personal development and instilling that in them from early on, that will continue for generations. And I think that's also legacy, and a lot of people miss that part. So
That's so important because a lot of us have a blockage on dreaming big
yes.
and the money. We've been too many people have been educated or trained to believe, or mentally, not purposefully, but I've come under the understanding that money's bad,
Money is bad.
that
Yep.
I should be happy with where I am right now.
Yep.
I can do fine with where I am now. I don't need to have more money. But like you mentioned, you can do so much more when
Exactly.
you do have money. That's what it's for, to be able to use it to do good. And
Yep.
that's what my new Underground Railroad is all about. So by the time this is being aired, my book will be out. Just get on board the new Underground Railroad. And it's all about Harriet Tubman's spirit is guiding us to love and actions.
Exactly.
So leaving a legacy is a way of showing your love and that personal development is so important. That self-love, that's personal
Self-love. Yep.
development that you pass on when you are living in that joyful, purposeful living, free to do what you want and be who you want to be. Your children see that.
They
Your
do.
grandchildren see that. And that is a way to help them understand it. And I love the way that you are educating your son to read books about more positive thinking and seeing the world differently and how money is an important part. My daughter does the same. Her son will be 14 next month. No, he'll be 15 next month. And they talk about this and what are your goals and how you're going to get there and what does it take and step by step.
Yeah,
And positive information is what our children need early
absolutely.
on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen the difference. And he'll come home and say, "Oh, mom, there's someone who came and they asked us if we do affirmations." And they asked us to raise our hands. And of course, he said there were a few hands. And so now, so some schools are getting a little bit more, I guess, creative in helping because in this age, especially that preteen age, they need it because they're getting into that puberty where all this stuff is going to be coming at them and just understanding self-love and knowing what you learned at home, hopefully it's good, but what you learned at home and just your opinion of yourself, that's what really matters. But how are you going to form that? It's going to be from education, from your grandparents, from your parents, from your environment. And so all that plays a part. Yeah.
Very much the environment is big and the community you're in. So
Mhm.
what else do you do in the community? I think we had a conversation that you had some events coming up that you like to share. Maybe by the time this is maybe those events might be over, but you have
Yeah.
things going on all the time, I'm sure.
I do. So one of the things that I pride myself on is networking because whether you're networking for a non-profit organization or for your son's basketball team or professionally, your job, your business, I think networking is important. And even though we market a product, a service, or a mission, right, we need people. And I've realized that you can do things, you can do well by yourself, but if you have the right person or the right people, team around you, you can do better, faster, greater, right? So networking has become a very integral part of what it is that I do. But what I found again is that a lot of women, and I speak a lot about women because that's my passion, right? To help other women don't know how to network or they don't understand the importance or the value, the power of networking. So I have different types of networking events that I do networking for. I'm a member of a board, Jamaican Women of Florida, so I try to incorporate networking there to help our members network with each other, right? That's we're there as a group, but we don't really know each other. It's a group of over 300 members, right? Close to 300 members. So how can we do that? I've tried to implement some of the things that I know from my professional life with these women so they know networking is not about what can I get today, but who can I help? How are you going to help somebody? You have to know them, right? Know them and can trust them. And then that way you can, if something comes up, you're their ears on the ground. Something comes up, you know what? Call this person and that person. I usually try to give 2 or 3 referrals, to be honest, because different people work differently with different personalities. So I like to do what I would want for myself, I do for others. So I strongly believe, even though you may come across people in the same line of business as you, there's enough for everybody. So it's okay that even you guys can work together because you may meet a client who it's just not the right fit. And you say, you know what, I may not be the right fit for you, but talk to my friend and vice versa. So I do networking there. I also do networking for my business for Legal Shield, where I am not only educating the market about what it is that Legal Shield does, but we also network with other professionals in other industries to say, listen, this is something that if you want, you can supplement your income with Legal Shield. You're going to get the services anyway. We know you need it rather than you sending me a referral, I can show you how you can get paid even more by referring directly to yourself. And then we show you how to do that as well. So I network there. And then I have a new group that I started doing some networking with called Diva Locals. And again, it's the same concept. You don't have to have a business, but have you ever thought about more for yourself? And why is it that you haven't had a business? I remember when I first was looking at opportunities, I didn't necessarily want to start a business from scratch, but then I knew that if you're going to do any business, you probably want to have a stake in it. You want to know what's going on. So do you build something from scratch, or do you plug into a already made business? Just exposing women to different people and different opportunities, I think, has helped. So even though they may not be my ideal business partner for my venture or client of mine, I'm connecting them with other people. And when you do good for others, it's going to come back to you. People say, "Oh, do you do these events? Do you get business?" I said, not always, but it gives me pleasure seeing other people around me win, because it's a win-win situation. I want to see people succeed, and it just always comes back. So we do have monthly events in all these different areas. And again, if you guys follow me on social media or on LinkedIn, all that good stuff, you'll see events that are out there, if in my area, or if you're in another part of the country, in other areas, because we have connections with people nationwide, which is how I met Carol. So
Yeah, I'm gonna
through
say the Diva
networking.
Network.
Yes.
That's all about networking, and I've interviewed several people from that network. It's so beautiful to have women come together and support each other and get to know each other. I love the way they have it set up where we have the breakout sessions and get to actually meet people who's in the room, not just see their faces. And that's a beautiful way for building network, a sisterhood.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Beautiful. This has been a great conversation. What would you like to leave us with? Anything you like to end with your conversation with?
Absolutely. So I like to say, you know what? Life is short, so we should live each day as if it's our last. And but in each day that you're living, have a plan the day before, the week before, to put towards what your ideal, your ultimate vision is. So your morning routine is going to be great at helping you to keep focused every day as what is the goal. And the goal doesn't have to be professional or monetary. The goal could be something that you want to achieve personally, or something that you want to help your family with, or just in different areas of your life, spiritually, could be physically, whatever that is. So just have a goal every day that you're working towards something, because that just helps to really fuel you. And if you have that vision of what, I was put here for a reason, what is that reason? And that will and can evolve, but just keep your vision in sight at all times, and just continue working towards that. And affirmations, knowing that you can do this. Everybody was put here for a reason, right? And the sooner we find what that purpose is, your life is just going to be that much more special, because you have purpose and vision, and just never give up, keep working towards that.
That's beautiful. Beautiful ending notes to leave on because that's the truth. And you can find that purpose and your vision. You're going to find joy and happiness, and that's what we're here for.
All right. And I see on your
Joy.
shelf joy, and yes, so I
Yeah.
love that.
Yes. I keep it there, and that's my granddaughter's middle name, so she just loves to see it all around my house.
You're talking about me, Grandma.
Yes, she says that. Thank you, Jennifer. This has been great, and I will be listing all your contact information on so people can find you and find out more. And who knows, you may pick up some more people that you can mentor and to have in their successful business.
I truly, truly appreciate you having me, Carol, and then thank you so much. I wish you the best in everything that you do, and kudos in advance for your upcoming book, and I can't wait to see it.
Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer.